all! Welcome to the Complete Startup course!
In this course, you are going to learn the complete process to build your dream startup company in India, like how to get an idea, how to get funding for your company, how to register it, how to get money for establishing the company, how to select the name of the company, how to build the office, how to save the taxes on your company, and many more interesting and informative stuff. Let's get started.
How to get an idea for your startup company. The key to every successful business lies in a unique idea. Now, how can you get an idea about beginning a startup? What made Jamsetji Tata go on finding one of the best motor giants in the world? What led Dhirubhai Ambani into setting up a company whose current value is in billions? You will find one thing common if you take a closer look at all these industries and their founders. And that is, they understood an issue that many people around them had. They analyzed the problem and worked on a solution. That's how they started. Now, how to hunt for a startup idea. Here's a 3-step process to identify great ideas for your startup company in India, similar to the process Tata and Ambani probably carried out. And number 1 is look for problems. The key to getting ideas is to look for every small or big problem in your daily life. You can note these problems on paper or a notebook for a record. Go through these problems every day to find that one idea that will bring out the best result. And number 2 is find a problem that messes with your mind. While going through your list of problems, look for those that interest you more. For example, if you love to do craft work, look for a problem that consists of decorative items. Business is not only about making a lot of money, but it is also involves the factor of passion and interest. Do what you love to do, and that will turn out to be your greatest success. And number 3 is find an innovative solution. Well, if you have a problem that you can solve and it is also of interest, it is crucial for you to look for an out-of-box solution. For example, everyone can use a hammer to drive nails into the wood, but a nail gun makes it much easier and faster. Just like that. Do your own research about the solutions to the problem that is already there, if any, and find a better one. And now, how to analyze your solution. You have found a problem. People love downloading videos from Instagram, but it's hard to do it. You'll thought about the solution, an app that helps them do that. How do you know that solution is the correct one? Here are some things you should continue to research. Number 1 is product or service analysis. Well, the very first thing that you need to check is what your product offers the people. There might be similar products in the market that tend to offer the same services as you. Hence, as mentioned above, you need to make your product or service a bit unique. India is a densely populated country, so your product quality matters a lot. For example, if you are developing a video download app for Instagram, you can also add other platforms. This means that you can add the ability to download videos from YouTube and Facebook, etc. And number 2 is, does the market need your product or service? This is also one of the crucial questions to ask yourself. After all, if your product or service is not liked or required in the market, it will be dead end for you. So you need to make sure that your product or service is essential for the people. If we take the same example, a lot of people love to download and share content from Instagram. So, if you conduct a comprehensive research of the market, you will get an idea about the demand for the product you are about to develop. And number 3 is, are you enjoying what you're doing? At last, all of this is not going to last long unless you love it by your heart. Many of us have tried to work on a startup but could not carry it forward. The only reason behind this is the lack of interest and passion for it. For example, If you are not fond of coding, then building an app may not work well for you. So try working on developing a product or service that you are passionate about and validating the idea. So far, you have thoroughly analyzed your solution. Now, it is time to closely analyze the market. This means that you need to make absolutely certain how your product will perform in the market. Number 1, thorough market research. This session includes all the necessary measures to make sure your product or service in the market is new and unique. Here are some of the key points. Make a brief layout of your product that includes its features, its uses, its audience, its benefits, etc. Search for similar products on the web to know the level of competition. If you find some of the similar products on the web, make sure you cross-check every aspect to find any similarity. And refer to customer reviews to know more about the low sides of the products. You can improve them in your product. Number 2 is interact with the audience. This is the most fruitful aspect of the process. You will get to know some new things from the customer's point of view. You can refer to various online forum websites to know more about the customer issues regarding the existing products and make an online survey to know about the user's expectations, features that they want in the product. Some websites will help you to build surveys like Key Survey, Typeform, SurveyMonkey, GoSurvey.in and Google Trends, etc. And harness the power of social media by gathering reviews from your social circle. Discuss your idea with your own ones and know how they would like the product to be. There is no perfect trick to know how your idea will perform in the market. You can only test and check if it works. Some of the budding entrepreneurs have faced a lot of failures before getting to the point they are today. Building a minimum viable product MVP. Finally, here is a part where you will be actually working on your product. Now, the first question most of you will be having is, what is an MVP? An MVP is expanded as a minimum viable product. It is actually the most basic version of your product, which should be built quickly and cheaply, which aims to validate if there is interest and people are willing to pay for it. Some of you may confuse an MVP with prototype. Well, an MVP is actually a product that will be used by your audience, and a prototype is just a draft of your idea. Why is an MVP required? It brings several advantages like saves time and money. MVPs have only the basic features, which means they are easy to develop and require low capital investments. If you see the product doesn't work well in the market, you can quickly shut it down and move to something else, saving you a lot of time and money. And number 2 is customer feedback. Releasing the MVP is a great way to hear your users' feedback and build more features based on their needs and not what you think they need. And number 3 is generate early leads. Many of your MVP testers may become customers later on. They'll feel as if they have contributed to your product, so they will be more willing to pay for it rather than go with your competitor's solution. And the question is how to build an MVP. I am going to post a detailed video on how to build an MVP as soon as possible in our channel. So consider subscribing our channel so you can't miss the video. Formulate a business plan. A business plan plays an indispensable role when starting a startup. Business plan is a written document that includes all the necessary aspects of the business, like business goals, business strategies, the time frame of goals, details about profit and loss, financials, marketing methodologies, etc. Some of the detailed aspects of the business plan include a brief summary of the business that includes all the major points, overview of the business, legal structure, type of business, means of business, location, and more, and a proper plan of operations, an analysis of the market, details about the products and services, a detailed analysis of the market competition, information about the management team and financial plan, and also future goals and projections. And name of the startup. Naming your startup may seem like an easy thing, but it is not. Here are some considerations to consider. Choose a name that resonates with your business and take care of the keywords and make it easy to say and understand by your customers. Understanding the psychology behind the name, prevent long names and put small and sweet names to a startup company. If you want a detailed video about this topic, please leave a comment in comment section. Startups and companies are run by people. You need to be careful while choosing people for your firm. The coming chapter will explore all the necessary factors that you need to keep in mind while choosing people for your firm. People. As a startup founder, this question might have popped up in your brain. Who can I ask to be my partner in crime? Sometimes, when two people come together, they bring in a great amount of value and experience to the team. And how to get a great co-founder? While finding a great co-founder, assume that he or she has a different skill set as compared to yours. This way, both of you can contribute equally to the startup. The combined contribution of both the co-founder will ultimately benefit the startup. Let's consider that you are a developer and have an idea of an innovative product. But when it comes to negotiations, understanding the legalities, or even hiring people, you may not be too good there. If your co-founder is also bereft of these qualities, both of you will end up spending the limited amount of capital on hiring new people. And capital is one of the most important factors that play a role in the startup's survival. What to consider when getting a co-founder? India is gradually becoming a startup-friendly nation, and there are several factors to portray the changing scenario. As we progress, more and more youngsters are eager to launch their own startups. Parenthesis over here. The question of how to start a startup in India has nothing to do with age. Anyone who has a basic understanding of managing things can do it. There are a plethora of options out there. No matter if you are a school or university student, a graduate, a part-time worker, etc. More and more people are entering the startup ecosystem, which means that it's every year easier to find another person willing to run a startup along with you. Some considerations you must take when looking for a co-founder. Consideration number 1 is trust. Both you and your co-founder will have to build a strong and balanced working relationship. If you want to see the end of the line, it is important to trust each other. So for you, the first question is, can I trust this person? There is no easy answer to this, because building trust and taking someone as trustworthy does not come with one look or meeting. But a great thing about humans is we have something called a gut feeling. This particular emotion will certainly help you answer many questions along the startup journey. So, if you meet a potential co-founder and find that something is not right, or feel that you cannot build a strong working relationship with this person, back away. And consideration number 2 is skill set. We have already talked about it in brief above. Keep an eye on the skill set of your potential co-founder and ensure that they complement your skill set. If you have some weaknesses, your co-founder must be able to balance it out. The right balance does not mean that you need to choose someone entirely opposite from you. Rather, choose a person who aligns with your personality along with having a different skill set. This brings us to the next point, and consideration number 3 is personality. Your personality should match with your co-founder, and there are many reasons for this. Establishing a startup company in India is taxing and stressful. In that case, you will need someone with whom you can fraternize in those tough times, and that will only be possible if both the founders have a matching personality within and outside of the office. So consideration number 4 is honesty. There was a time when people used to believe in honesty is the best policy. Things are somewhat different today. So it is important to know the honest levels of your co-founder before starting to associate. There are many other things apart from leaking cash out of the company funds. As a company's founder, you need to have some moral, some values that personify your vision and mission. Swaying away from these also amounts to a dishonesty and a breach of trust. And the question is how to find a co-founder. Now that you know the primary considerations you need to consider when looking for a co-founder, let's move on to the process of actually finding one. Your personal sphere. You can note down the duties and responsibilities of your desired partner and look in your personal sphere for someone that fits these characteristics. And co-founders networking. Similar to the methods you use for finding investors, you can also find co-founders. The startup India hub is evolving and you will be able to attend many events and summits targeted towards building and connecting the startup ecosystem. Meeting the founders online. Apart from the events and summits, there are many other places where you can find your ideal co-founder. There are social media platforms and dedicated founder matchmaking websites and hackathons. Co-founding with friends. It is entirely possible to co-found a startup with your friends, but there are risks involved. Firstly, you may think that you know your friend very well, but as you both work together, discuss things together and deliberate over some issues, you will get to know other facets of each other. In the course of time, you may realize that you may have not known your friend at all. This can create some problems in the future. When you work with friends, discussions like money and commitments to the job are taken lightly. Don't do that. Keep everything on the table. If you decide to go down with that, make sure that you can set boundaries with both personally and professionally. Building a team. The secret to successful hiring is this: looking for the people who want to change the world. This quote by Mark Benioff summarizes the process of hiring good people to work with you. A great team is vital for your startup's growth. A study found that 60% of startups have to face the dust because the team was not right. While building your dream team that will help you reach the apex level of success, you will need to consider these points. Self-assessment. You are the thread which is connecting everyone on your team. So, it is best to do a self-assessment first before moving ahead. Self-awareness will get you unprecedented success because you will know your strengths and limitations to work accordingly. Number 2 is identify the main roles. Apart from your skill set and your co-founder's assets, which other important roles are essential for your startup? The ideal roster for your team will also depend on the type of podcast or service. You may need an amazing designer, developer, marketer, and an executor are some common roles. Number 3 is building a startup culture. Let's get one thing straight. Startups don't pay well. Startups in India or in any other country have a limited amount of capital at their back. Hence, they need to spend that money wisely, which also means hiring good people, but at a lower remuneration. So, what makes people stick? The answer is a startup culture. A good culture will ensure higher employee retention, a self-motivated environment, and a productive workforce. And hiring and recruiting. India has a wide talent pool, and you will find a lot of suitable candidates to work with. However, you must know where to look and what is the right hiring strategy. When it comes to finding the candidates, Platforms like LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Placement India, Indeed, and Naukri are preferable. After team building, the next step is looking at the legal side of the venture and legalities. Understanding the legalities of starting a company in India has to be done at the proof of concept stage. Some startups do not take these considerations seriously and end up making legal mistakes that hurt them badly. Indian startup registration can be done both online and offline. So now, how to register a startup in India online? There are two things to note here. One is incorporating your startup, and second, registering it under the Startup India program. Incorporating a startup or a company includes obtaining the digital signature certificate and directory identity number. Once your startup is incorporated, you become eligible to enlist it with the Startup India program. We will talk about the program in further sections. But for now, you must understand the process required to register your startup with the program. You can choose one out of 4 kinds of ownership models. You can choose like proprietorship. No registration is required and legally you as the proprietor have the sole ownership of the company. For taxation, your income will be taken as the taxable income. You cannot transfer the ownership of the company to any other person. Lastly, you cannot call in foreign investors to fund your venture. Note that a sole proprietorship does not count as a startup in India. And partnership. A partnership needs 2 people to start with. And here you may and may not choose to register your company. However, if registered, you will come under the ambit of all the legalities and compliances applicable to a partnership company. A partnership firm can only be listed as a startup in India if it is less than 5 years of age from its incorporation. And limited liability partnership or LLP. A LLP in India needs to be registered under the LLP Act of 2008. It comes under the ambit of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and must have at least 2 partners. Further, in India, an LLP mode of operation is preferred over the other registration systems. There are various benefits of incorporating as an LLP, including operational flexibility, fewer compliances, among others. Private limited company. They are registered under the Companies Act 2013. To be more precise, such a company can have a workforce of up to 200 members and it needs at least 2 directors. There are additional legal formalities to register as a PLC in India, but they have access to several other benefits accorded by the state government. As long as you are in the POC stage or until the time you are not gaining some traction, not registering your company is fine. But once you enter a stage where you are ready to register, the real complexities begin. From compliances to taxation, labor laws, environment laws, and other legal requirements are meant to be fulfilled. So, intellectual property right. Getting recognition for your product or service is indeed deserving because you look an idea and built it into something actionable with your own innovation, and to keep that light burning, you need the protection. However, the Indian startup scenario for IP is a bit different. IT rights for software in India are such that they only apply to the code and the final product. In other words, if you get your copyright, it will protect the form and not the final substance. Another important thing is that you cannot file a patent application for the software in India. What you can do is get a patent on software and hardware integration. This means that if a software is dependent on any form of hardware, then you can get a patent. But software alone can be patented. As for your user interface or experience, you can get a patent provided it is unique. Its level of uniqueness will decide whether or not you can get a patent for it. Co-founders' legal considerations. You may have found your ideal co-founder, but have you gone through the requirements and legal considerations it requires? Majorly, a co-founder agreement lists lists the equity ownership, initial investments, and the roles and responsibilities given to each founder. Surely, there has to be a legal contract listing all the guidelines. This type of contract ensures that both the founders have an opt understanding of the functionality in the company. You need to carefully examine each and every term associated with the partnership and set the boundaries. Even if the venture is at an initial stage, you need to set these boundaries. You will find that there are few other legal documents that you need to check out while operating a startup in India. Be very careful with the legal considerations. If possible, take assistance from a certified lawyer and an accountant to set up your operations properly. The penalties and fines of not following them are high. Moreover, they can also become a reason for shattering your dream startup to pieces. Talking about penalties and fines, money is also a critical factor for any startup. Basically, you cannot fully understand how to start a startup in India without looking into funding options. Here is that money matters. 90% of the startups fail in the first 5 years of their launch, and many of these are because of the money crunch. Sometimes the founders do not get enough fuel to keep the engine running, and others fail in using it optimally. Therefore, getting your startup funded is important, but gaining the ability to utilize that money smartly also matters. Right from the beginning, you need to start making a startup budget that is well within your limitations. Once you have gained the funding, start spending it smartly and on those things that help you grow. But before discussing how to use the money, let's first know how to acquire it. There are various methods to raise money for your startup in India, like friends and family. We always look forward the family first if we want something, especially with the societal norms and family culture existing in India. Asking your friends and family for initial funding looks like a great option. However, understanding this is a two-way road and there are some specific pros and cons associated with this method. Make sure you consider them before jumping in. Bootstrapping. One of the best methods to fund your startup is by your own savings or bootstrapping. The reason being that you won't have to answer to anyone where the money went. There is no interest, no complications about paying the money back, and so on. And incubators. Early stage startups can look forward to getting the funding from business incubators and accelerators. The difference between an incubator is they teach or train in everything, just like a child is taught everything from the day it is born. Accelerators, however, are a bit advanced and they move on to help you run or leap ahead in your venture. There are various incubators and accelerators in India that you can choose from. Angel investors. There are a lot of already established angel investors in India who have funded several startups. Angel investment is a kind of funding activity whereby individuals with surplus cash and interest to invest in different baskets from help startups launch and expand. The Indian angel investor network is also huge, and you will be able to find the right investor for your startup. Venture capitalists. Venture capitalists are the biggest sharks in the ocean of startups ecosystem. These guys invest big and also help already expanding startups to outgrow themselves. In the Indian parlance, most of the VCs have come from the other countries and set base here. However, note that convincing the VCs is not easy. Having credible and really unique pitch is equally important as having a disruptive and innovative product. Crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is a great option to fund your startup. provided you have an idea that convinces the masses. Several people will look at your product there, and if they like it, they place their investors to develop your product and take it to the next stage ahead of the prototype. Crowdfunding generates many benefits, one of which is free marketing, since your investors will surely spread the word for your idea and rope in more people. And bank loans. Funding from banks can take form of loans or line of credit, working capital loan. Entrepreneurs still consider bank as their first preference and a safe bet to get funding for the startup. Seeing the rising trends of the startups in India, several banks have to set dedicated funding options for SMEs and startups. Loans entail the standard process wherein you provide the brands with necessary details, business model, and collateral to get the funding. Government grants. The Indian government also provides funding to startups in India via several grants and schemes. Government schemes for starting in India like Mudra loans, 10,000 crores funding, startup funding, and others show that the government wants to develop a conducive environment for startups in the country. Startups bring growth to the Indian economy, and the government is reciprocating further bolster the growth with such schemes and grants. Within this funding from the Startup India scheme deserves special mention. Startup India scheme. The Startup India scheme is a flagship program under the Startup India initiative. This scheme was launched with the motivation of bolstering the innovation of new products and services in the Indian economy. Under this scheme, the startups have to undergo DPIIT registration and complete other formalities to get certain benefits, and some of which are like simplifying the work process from registration of setting up the basic infrastructure and providing financial support to startups via different government-run funding schemes, and helping the founders grow their network and exploit such opportunities presented by the government. And early stage startups can also benefit from income tax exemptions, intellectual property benefits, along with a few other packs. It does not matter what kind of startup you are trying to build, funding will be essential. Along with the funds, it is equally vital to build your product brand. In the next session, we will take up how to build your startup brand and how to ensure its growth. So here is that: branding, website, and launch. Once the funds are arranged for your startup, then comes the actual work of building your organization on different levels. Until now, your work was just revolving around the idea. But now it's time to start the real work from ground zero. This chapter will cover some of the essentials of building a startup. It will lead you to the knowledge of various aspects of building an organization, from its branding to the website to its launching. Building the brand. Branding your startup essentially means to establish an identity for your business. The identity of your business holds your uniqueness among other competitors in the market. A brand has its own voice, image, and personality that makes it recognizable for the people. For instance, when you hear the name Pepsi, what jumps right to your mind? What jumps right to your mind? Certainly, their blue ribbon, logo, advertisement, or something related to that drink. This is the power of branding. When people start visualizing your brand, when they hear its name, that's when it can be considered established. Building your brand identity is a long-term plan. There are several organizations that initially avoid these steps and are eager to jump directly into the operations. When you build a brand identity from the start, it gradually makes its name in the market space. Once it acquires a significant amount of attention, then whatever product you launch, people are bound to show their interest in it. And designing logo for the organization. The best is to outsource the logo designing process to a professional branding agency. While designing the brand logo, there are various parameters like the color palette, typography, and graphics that need to be taken into account. Professional agencies have the expertise to understand the mechanism of color combinations and graphics that can attract customers. XY Creations, Ascend Web Portal, Design Hill, and InDesign Elements are some of the prominent branding agencies in India. They can help you with all your design needs with premium quality results. There are many global online platforms to match where you can find masters in this field like 99 Designs and Fiverr. You must explore all the options before picking a suitable choice for yourself. Building a website. Creating a website for your startup is crucial. The website is the best platform for the interaction between you and your customers. It helps you to stay active in the competitive market, and it also is a fantastic way to attract a lot of potential customers to your business. A website plays a significant role in creating a potential business market for any startup company in India or outside. The given steps are involved in the creation of process of your website. Picking a domain name. The domain name is usually named after your brand name to achieve singularity in your brand identity. There are multiple domain providers through which you can purchase a domain name for your website. Some of the popular domain registrators as follow. GoDaddy. This is one of the most popular domain agencies in India. It provides domain names at the lowest price. And Namecheap offers multiple services like selling domain names, VPS hosting, web hosting, and others. And Hostgator offers domain names and services that provide high-speed performance. Bluehost. They offer several packages that are inclusive of registering domain names, hosting, and website development. Finding a hosting. The work of a hosting company is to connect your website with the internet. You can think of it as a hard drive where all the information is stored for the usage. While picking a host, check off their customer support reviews, functionality of other websites that are being hosted by them, and do they provide all required features. GoDaddy, Hosting, Bluehost are some of the Indian hosting companies that you can work with to run your website. Some global ones are Amazon AWS, Cloudflare, Rackspace, and your Unified Layer. Majorly, there are three types of hosting plans, like shared hosting. Shared hosting is one of the most popular and cost-efficient hosting plans. It involves sharing your server with other websites. This plan is usually limited to one domain. Most small organizations and startups pick this plan for the start of the website. It gives them a space to start the websites and also does not give It gives them a space to start their websites and also does not get heavy on their pockets. However, note you get limited data storage and bandwidth, which may affect the speed of your website. Dedicated servers. This is an expensive hosting plan as it gives you a dedicated server for running your website. The range of bandwidth is comparatively very high and it doesn't put pressure on your website as much traffic may arrive. The website under this hosting plan has significantly greater speed than others. Note, you may choose a shared hosting plan and later transition the hosting to a dedicated servers. Reseller accounts. The reseller accounts are usually for the people who wish to run multiple sites under a single account. This type of hosting plan is mostly taken by the people who are running e-commerce websites. Designing and developing the site. Getting your website built by hired professionals may be a more expensive option than building it yourself, but it definitely produces some fruitful results unless you have the required knowledge and expertise in the field. To outsource the design of your website, you may hire an agency or freelancer. You may want to check Upwork, Fiverr, or Freelancer if you wish to find and hire one of these. If you are willing to put your hands in the task, you can use no-code tools like Webflow, Bubble, and WordPress requiring no programming knowledge. A handful of other tools have popped up to make it easier to build a basic website. Among these tools, you can find Cardsoft and Doric. And building the office. Building the brand name and website is a relatively easier task than establishing a physical office. If you have the required staff and budget to open an office for your startup, nothing can be better. Having a professional space hugely enhances the growth of a business as customers see it as a more reliable source. Having your own office is one of the essential milestones for your startups. In these modern times, you must also focus on building stylish and innovative office spaces for your work. This positively impacts the people working in the office and also puts a good impression on the incoming customers. There are several good interiors designers in India that can provide the professional looks for your office as per your business profile. Some of the most popular ones are Urban India Design, Kinja, Deepanji, and DeFi Design Factory. If you prefer or need to work remotely, there are several tools to improve team communication that have made an impact in 2020. You can create a virtual office with gather.town or avoid video calls fetching or with around launching. On completion of all of the above given parameters, your startup will be all set to launch. Before you launch and present your business to the world, you must prepare the launching campaigns. These are some of the essential steps that will make you a better launch in the market. And create hype. Creating a hype at the last minute won't make much differences. It is essential from the very first day of your startup building process. You start to create a fuzz about yourself in the market. Start sharing your brand name and the services in social media. Start writing blogs and articles until the time of its launch. You must have a significant population waiting for the service to be launched. Giving freebies and entertainment. One of the best ways to seek the attention of the Indian audience is to provide them with the free stuff and entertainment. Collaborate with some renowned artists that you can afford and start promoting your brand through them. You may also set up a small entertainment zone in a mall where you can entertain the people through various activities and promote the name of your brand. Alright. Stay clear from other big brands launches. Do check out the launching dates of other brands. You do not want to clash with your launch date with some other big brands. It may lose an ample amount of attention of your brand. Press release your service. Nothing can be better if you have the required budget and potential to launch the startup through a press release. The media will provide sufficient attention to the world about the service, your service. If you are willing to opt for it, make sure your teams are all prepared with the set of questions that may be asked about the product or service. The launch of your startup is not the end of the process, but just the beginning. Once the launch is done, then it comes the phase of making your startup grow its full potential. You may have to create several marketing strategies and post-launch campaigns to make your brand go bigger. Go through the next chapter that will guide you through the approaches you will need to hasten the development process of your startup company. Growing your startup. Let's talk about growth now. Once you have established a basic foundation of your startup, you can think of growing. More importantly, you need to know the right time to grow or scale your startup. But before we go there, you must be prepared to scale your startup. How to start growing is a different debate. Initially, you need some solid footwork on the ground. Also, remember that knowing when to be bearish is as important as being bullish in your startup. As a founder, you need to know when not to scale your startup. Scaling is like work in progress and you need to leverage foolproof marketing strategies for keeping up with the growth momentum. Apt marketing strategies ensure user engagement and convinces them to take the desired action. One of the most important things to understand in how to start a tech startup in India is practicing foolproof marketing strategies, which apt marketing will gain the attention of the audience and excite their thinking neurons. And if the product is something that the customers really want, they will engage and reach out. Some marketing strategies. Sending emails. Starting an email marketing campaign is a great way to attract new customers. Email marketing holds a better engagement rate and can be used for almost all kinds of businesses and products. Having a blog for your startup. If you are solving a pain for your customers and they are looking for the ways to solve it online, you need to have your blog. Blogs are one of the most organic ways to attract an audience and potential customers that will help you grow. Be on social networks. 4.57 billion. These many people are active on social media every month, and out of them, Facebook has 2.4 billion users, Instagram has 1 billion, YouTube has 2 billion, and the list goes on. Creating a social media marketing strategy is your answer to growth-oriented startup plans in India. Social media is a big game, so you may need to assistance of expert social media marketers to get desired results. You can implement other suitable marketing strategies for your brand growth and scale. Measures like sponsoring or an event or PPC advertisements can also help you gain some traction. More importantly, setting a marketing budget for your startup is also important. You cannot flow loads of money that you have acquired either from bootstrapping or via Startup India loan or any other way. Handling sales. It is evident that you cannot hire a top-notch sales team right at the nascent stage of starting a startup in India. That may come later. But presently, you may need to look at things yourself or hire a couple of guys to look after it. At this end, it is important that you also partake in the activity and try to manage the sales part effectively. Building your sales team is an essential part of growing the startup. Apart from building a team handling sales, means that you need to handle the account well. Hiring a dedicated chartered accountant at this juncture can be a cost affair. However, you can utilize cloud-based tools like QuickBooks, Tally, and JohoBooks to keep the account up to date. All the online tools have tutorials to guide how to use them and work with them. Preparing for some unprecedented situation. Sometimes humankind is faced with situations that are completely out of our control. It can be a natural disaster, a war-like situation, or even a pandemic. The important thing is to understand that these situations may be temporary, but their effects can be permanent. So, on your part, you need to prepare yourself beforehand to mitigate the risks related to such situations. Conclusion. This brings us to the end and how to start a startup in India guide. We have talked about everything that you need to follow, understand, and practice to run a successful business. And if you're thinking about when you should start your startup, understand that any time is a good time to start a company. Something very well said by Ron Canway. We have tried to include everything that you need to know about starting a startup in India. If you have any questions, let us know in the comment section below.